پتراس آستراویچیوس، نماینده پارلمان اروپا از لیتوانی: مسئله ایران از طریق جنگ خارجی یا سیاست مماشات حل نخواهد شد. تغییر واقعی تنها از طریق مردم ایران و مقاومت سازمان یافته محقق می شود. ما باید از نیروهای تغییر در ایران حمایت کنیم و آنها را به رسمیت بشناسیم.
Thank you, Javier. Madame Rajvi, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, very welcome to the European Parliament. And since the last time we met in the European Parliament, I took some efforts to improve my Farsi once more. So, let's try. Be parlamane, Orupa khosh amadid. Thank you. I take it as a credit, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation in Iran not any longer a matter of concern only for Iranians, Iranian people. It matters to all of us. Peace and security, both in the Middle East and in Europe and beyond, and even the world economy are tied to what happens now in Iran. The missiles of Tehran's rulers can soon reach many European capitals, as we have learned. This is a regime that honors no treaty, nor any pledge, nor international law. It is a regime that kills its own people every day and does not hesitate to carry out terroristic attacks against us. In the space of 1 month, it executed, as it was well introduced by Madame Rajvi, 15 political prisoners. 8 were members of the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran, and 7 were young protesters who played a significant role in last January's uprising. Helping to resolve the threat posed by Iranian regime is our duty and our common interest, not assistance to any foreign faction. It will not repeat, and I can just make again, that Madame Rajvi and colleagues have already said, that Iranian question will not be solved by foreign war or appeasement. I have been convinced for a long time that real change can come only through Iranian people, their action, their resistance, and from organized resistance of all of us. What can we do in the European Parliament? I believe we must support the forces of change inside Iran. We must recognize them. Who are those forces for change in Iran? This is a very rhetoric question sometimes raised in the European Parliament. When we hold hearings in the Foreign Affairs Committee and invite the backers of the former Shah and his son, we are effectively turning our backs to the people of Iran. It's clear. Let me say frankly to my colleagues in the Foreign Affairs Committee that session recently was far from the interest of people of Iran and against their desire for freedom. To recognize, represent, and stand together with Iranian people, we must act differently and not waste time. Thank you.
فرانسیسکو آسیش، نماینده پارلمان اروپا از پرتغال: سازمان مجاهدین به این دلیل هدف اصلی رژیم است که محتمل‌ترین جایگزین با بیشترین شانس برای سرنگونی ملایان و دستیابی به تغییری واقعی است. اتحادیه اروپا باید بر حق مردم ایران و کانون‌های شورشی برای دفاع از خود در برابر سرکوب سیستماتیک نیروهای امنیتی رژیم تأکید کند.
این در نهایت به معنای رد جایگزین‌های مصنوعی و ساخته شده در خارج و حمایت صریح ما از مقاومت ایران و طرح 10 ماده‌ای خانم مریم رجوی است.
Mes chers collègues, Madame et Messieurs, je tiens tout d'abord à déplorer profondément la mort de dizaines de milliers d'Iraniens et d'Iraniennes massacrés par un régime qui a déclaré la guerre à son propre peuple. J'exprime également ma tristesse face aux exécutions perpétrées récemment de jeunes personnes âgées de 18 à 30 ans arrêtés lors des récents soulèvements et des 6 membres de l'organisation des Moudjahidines du peuple d'Iran. Le courage de ces jeunes, la dignité avec laquelle ils font face à leur bureau est presque inconcevable. Nous avons fait tout ce que nous pouvons au sein de ce Parlement pour garantir une condamnation claire de ces exécutions monstrueuses et de la culture de mort qui est la marque de ce régime. Mais nous sommes préoccupés par le silence de la communauté internationale, et en particulier par le silence de l'Union européenne concernant ces récentes exécutions. J'irai un peu plus loin. En tant qu'homme de gauche, de centre-gauche, je regrette le grand silence de la gauche européenne devant cette vraie tragédie humaine. L'attitude provocatrice du régime semble indiquer qu'il n'anticipe pas sa chute comme une conséquence inévitable de l'intervention militaire américaine et israélienne. Sous couverte de la guerre, le régime peut non seulement se présenter comme une victime auprès de la communauté internationale, mais aussi poursuivre la guerre contre son propre peuple en toute impunité, profitant du blackout d'Internet. Le régime sait qu'il devra de nouveau faire face à la révolte et à l'indignation de la population. C'est pourquoi, contrairement aux idées reçues en Europe, le soutien public à la résistance iranienne aurait l'impact le plus fort sur le régime. La reconnaissance politique de la résistance représente une menace profonde pour Téhéran. En continuant à ignorer le peuple iranien et sa résistance organisée, l'Europe s'est privée de son levier et de son allié les plus efficaces dans sa politique à l'égard de l'Iran. Par expérience, le régime sait que la synergie entre les manifestations de masse, les unités de résistance et les combattants de l'Empire constitue une menace existentielle redoutable pour sa survie. Les frappes aériennes ne peuvent pas renverser le régime, mais une résistance iranienne le peut. Aucun niveau de bombardement ne peut se substituer à cette force sur le terrain, la force du peuple iranien. Je tiens à clarifier ma position. Il n'appartient pas à l'Union européenne de choisir l'opposition iranienne qu'il plaît le plus et de mépriser l'opposition qu'il plaît le moins. Il lui appartient encore moins de céder aux pressions visant à promouvoir les héritiers de la monarchie d'avant 1978, qui a été marquée par la persécution menée par les sinistres polices secrètes SAVAK, par les exécutions, la torture, la dissolution des partis politiques. C'est au peuple souverain d'Iran qu'il revient de choisir son destin et ce qu'il souhaite voir à la tête de son pays par le biais d'élections libres. Mais pourquoi le régime aurait-il mobilisé son système répressif contre l'Empire au cours des dernières décennies s'il ne l'avait pas identifié comme la principale menace à sa survie? Si l'Empire est le principal cible du régime, c'est parce qu'il est l'alternative la plus plausible et l'organisation avec plus de chances de renverser les moulins et d'aboutir à un vrai changement. C'est pourquoi l'Union européenne doit engager un dialogue avec le Conseil national de la résistance iranienne en tant qu'alternative démocratique engagée en faveur d'une transmission fondée sur la souveraineté populaire. Dès 2004, Madame Mariem Rajavi a déclaré publiquement que la solution pour l'Iran n'était ni la guerre étrangère ni l'apaisement, mais la troisième option, un changement démocratique par le peuple iranien et sa résistance. Contrairement à ce que recherchent les vestiges des mollahs et du Shah, elle s'est félicitée du cessez-le-feu et a exprimé l'espoir qu'il conduise à la fin de la guerre et ouvre la voie à la paix et à la liberté. Quel rôle l'Union européenne pourrait-elle, elle, jouer dans cette crise? Il est essentiel que les appels à la paix ne soient pas exploités par le régime comme prétexte à un nouvel apaisement. C'est le risque majeur, je crois, qui est devant nous aujourd'hui. Une paix sans engagement clair en faveur d'un changement de régime conduit par le peuple ne résoudra pas la crise et risque de préparer des guerres encore plus vastes et destructrices à l'avenir. L'Union européenne doit subordonner tout accord international avec Téhéran, y compris tout accord fondé sur le cessez-le-feu en cours, à des améliorations vérifiables de la situation des droits humains en Iran. Mais l'Union européenne doit aussi fermer les ambassades du régime et expulser ses ambassadeurs, diplomates et agents agissant comme instruments de la répression transnationale et des activités hostiles du régime à travers toute l'Union européenne. Mais surtout, l'Union européenne doit affirmer le droit du peuple iranien et des unités de résistance populaire à œuvrer en faveur du changement démocratique et à se protéger contre la répression systématique exercée par les forces de sécurité du régime. Ça signifie, finalement, le rejet des alternatives artificiellement fabriquées de l'extérieur et le soutien clair de notre parti à la résistance iranienne, à tous les résistants iraniens. Et au plan en 10 points, c'est le meilleur plan qu'on connu pour l'Iran, présenté pour Mme Mariam Rajavi, car il représente la seule voie crédible vers 3 objectifs essentiels: la paix, la liberté et la démocratie. Merci beaucoup.
آنتونیو لوپز استوریسفایت: این رژیم باید بداند که هر بار شکنجه می کند یا می کشد، هزاران نفر دیگر برای محکوم کردن این کشتارها برخواهند خواست.
Good morning, everybody, and first of all, Madam Rajavi, thank you and welcome to the European Parliament and all our friends that are here today. I would like to give everybody an applause to your wonderful team that we have here in the European Parliament. We are here sitting thanks also to these efforts in organization that we all know it's not easy. My first words have to be, of course, in remembrance of the tragic events that have been happening for decades, but now more than ever these last months have happened about the killing, torture of innocent citizens in Iran, that the only thing they want is what we are living here: peace, democracy, and liberty. Thank you very much for honoring them. Madam Rajavi, we all honor them, and we all suffer with them and the people that are still in prison, so many thousands. Now that more than ever the regime is profiting from an external war to take action against Democrats, against people that are fighting for the same things that we have. May I humbly introduce an exception in what has been said about Europe's silence. While 3 governments in Europe, Italy, France, and Spain, were stopping the nomination of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard being in the European terror list, in the Council, here in this House, where you have been welcomed, there was a different approach. There was a resolution I had the honor to negotiate in February about Iran, the situation in Iran, and I can proudly tell you, adopted by 562 members, which is, would say Petras, no, it's a good number. Absolutely. In this parliament, with votes 9 against and 57 abstention. You can guess who. Take a guess. Extremes. Very, very extreme right, very, very extreme left. May I tell you what we spoke about in this resolution? We urge the Council, the governments, without delay, the full designation of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization, and we achieved it. 2 weeks later, the Council, the governments, finally, the doubts of Spain were dissipated, and we achieved it. We demanded the release of all imprisoned demonstrators and political prisoners and denounced the killings reported by human rights organizations. We condemned the deeply illegitimate and violent nature of the inhumane Iranian regime. We denounced that the regime is a threat to our European also security and to our values. This regime is a great danger for the Middle East and Europe, and we need clear and firm message from Europe. And we pleaded for further coercive measures against Iran, the regime, of course, not the people, the innocent people, and targeted sanctions against individuals and entities responsible for the violent repression of the protesters, calling for the Commission, High Representative, and member states to exert effective pressure on the regime. So I can say with my colleagues here, I think that we can be proud that at least in this House, the voice of those who are suffering, of those who are fighting for freedoms and liberty was heard. Said so, is this enough? Of course not. We will not stop, we will not remain silent until democracy, until freedom arrives to Iran. It has been too many decades, too many, of regimes in Iran, theological, non-theological. It's time now for the people of Iran to speak. The regime has to realize that every time they torture, they kill thousands, hundreds, thousands more of people will race to denounce the massacres, what happened this winter in Iran. This is not unbelievable, because with this regime you can believe anything, but unbearable. We have to do more. Yes, governments were during many years failing to denounce, even making deals with, there was the excuse, no? The reformist President Khatami, pragmatic Rafsanjani, and the moderate President Rouhani. That was the words that many people in the governments and unfortunately in other European institutions were using to talk about bloody murders. It's time also to change the wording. It's also time for that, for the European societies to understand clearly what is at stake here. And the stake at here is an innocent population that the only thing they want, and again, sorry to repeat it, but it has to be very clear, is to live like us. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. And I'm sure my colleagues also think the same. But to be in this collaboration together with you to achieve the same goals in Iran, in Europe, in these problematic times, in these very doubtful times, us, we have to be the North that they see. And I'm very proud, and it's an honor to, together with my colleagues, to be here with you today and sharing this moment. Thank you very much.
لئولوکا اورلاندو، بار دیگر همبستگی خود را با تعهد شما برای دستیابی به ایرانی دموکراتیک ابراز نمایم.
Dear Iranian friends, dear colleague, Mrs. Rajvi, I wish just to express, even today, solidarity to your commitment for a democratic Iran, and my admiration for your experience of freedom from fear, because you are an example of freedom from fear, the same freedom from fear of the Iranian resistance today. And I wish just to say you that freedom from fear is one of the 4 freedoms founding the United Nations. I think that we have to remember that how important it is just to promote freedom from fear. Speaking about freedom from fear, I wish to repeat that the future of Iran belongs to Iranian people, belongs only to Iranian people. Iranian people has the right to be respected on the way just to walk in so-called Iranian way to democracy. Iranian people has the right to walk along the Iranian way to democracy, the Iranian democratic way to be free, to let free Iran from fear and from the theocratic dictatorship of Mullah. I think that it is necessary to underline, and I wish to share, the points of the real Iranian resistance, the plan you have expressed so clearly, Madam. Free and fair elections, full gender equality and the active participation of women in political leadership, separation of religion and state, because this confusion between a religion and state is just an attack, is an injury against state and against religion. And then in recognition of the rights of oppressed ethnic and national groups. At the end, but I wish say at the beginning, peaceful coexistence with other nations. And the Iranian regime will try to negotiate ceasefire and so-called peace, just getting international complicity to maintain anti-democratic power. This is the risk. And I wish just to say the resistance continues despite intensified repression and daily execution. Ceasefire has to be a prelude to an Iranian path for democracy, because in my opinion, the future of Iran belongs to Iranian people. And may I tell you, the future of European Union, belongs to the credibility, respecting the rule of law, freedom and democracy. And the Iranian resistance has to pretend the right to receive clear answer from the European Union. Thanks.